First time I ever tried to write this down, first time telling anyone outside the family. I'm leaving out time and location and some other details because I'm still scared of what might happen with it publicly, I guess. Summer before 8th grade, me and two of my friends snuck out at midnight to go walk around the neighborhood and go see these girls on the next block who were having a sleepover. We turn a corner in our neighborhood and there's this huge black blimp-shaped thing in the sky, like the pictures of the Hindenburg, but bigger than that and as close if not closer. Completely silent and the size of at least 4 to 5 football fields across, no exaggeration, even though I was young. We stare at it entranced, asking each other over and over again if we see it, which we all agree that we do, standing there, frozen in one place. It's like black polished gunmetal, no lights, no sound, no anything, it's just hovering there. And then I don't know what happened, but time clearly jumps. Next thing I remember is the craft, ship, government experiment, whatever the hell it is, has gone, and there's a tiny glowing white barbell thing in the sky, seemingly slowly falling to earth with wisps of smoke coming off it. Then two brand new black trucks with silver gearboxes on the back like F-150s or S-10s, but nicer, came speeding down the street, going about 70 in a residential 25 mph neighborhood. Then after that, I remember walking home to one of my friends' houses and going to bed. At that point, it was like 5 or 6 a.m. and the sun was coming up. We all made a promise to tell my dad in the morning because he worked for the city, but we never did. I don't know what happened later in life to one of my friends who was there, but the other was my best friend, and we sort of made an unspoken pact never to talk about it. Don't know how or why we did that. We all grew up and I sort of lost touch with him too. We did reconnect over Facebook and such over the years, but it was like there was something between us neither of us wanted to touch or talk about. Looking back on it now, there's no way we could have been the only ones to see it. It was that late at night, and it was over a heavily populated suburb of a major city. The idea of this has always scared me more than any sort of possible abduction scenario. That there were others, and we're all voluntarily suffering a sort of collective amnesia, except in how we're not. I've thought about hypnosis, but that scares me too, plus I'm not sure if I'd trust the results. I was just a kid then, and I'm not sure if I could trust the hypnotist. What I do know, again, is that there's no way it was just the three of us who saw it. We're talking a huge thing hovering in the sky directly above hundreds of houses just after midnight on a summer weekend night. But nothing on the news, nothing in the paper, nothing on TV. No words spoken about it again, ever, by anyone.
The first strange thing was waking up in the cab of my ute with the engine off, and the last 4 hours gone. I was working security at the time at a half-built hospital, nothing fancy, just keeping vandals and metal thieves from stripping copper piping or tagging the drywall. It was boring but easy money. Most nights I'd do rounds on foot, check the fences, maybe sip some instant coffee from a thermos. The site had no cameras yet, no one but me. That night started normal. I got there around 9 p.m., logged my check-in and walked the usual perimeter. The moon was nearly full, everything washed in pale blue. At about 1:10 a.m., I climbed into the ute to warm up a bit. I remember checking the radio. I remember turning on the high beams just for fun, lighting up the skeletal steel frames. Then nothing. The first thing I noticed was the cold. My breath came out in thick clouds, the windows fogged. My thermos was still in my lap untouched. I blinked at the dashboard clock, 5:25 a.m. It was like I'd been unplugged. I reached for my phone, fingers shaking, not from cold but something else. It said I'd made no calls, no messages, no alarm, just dark. The entire time log on my security tablet was blank between 1:12 and 5:24. No entries, no movement, no idea. I felt disoriented, like I'd woken from anesthesia. My limbs were stiff, my mouth dry. There was a small, itchy bump behind my left ear that hadn't been there before. It felt warm under the skin. When I stepped out of the ute, my knees nearly buckled. The air smelled strange, too clean, like ozone. Like the aftermath of lightning, only the sky was clear. The first memory came in the shower. I had just shut my eyes and let the water hit the back of my neck when something snapped. Not a sound, but a feeling. A suctioning silence, a pull behind my ears. I opened my eyes, and for a fraction of a second, I wasn't in the bathroom. I was in a room. No walls, just infinite gray, textureless, borderless. There were lights above, but they weren't hanging, they just existed without origin or shadow. I was on a flat table and I couldn't move. Not from pain, but because I had forgotten how. It wasn't like sleep paralysis. Then I saw them. 3 of them tall, impossibly thin. Inverted knees, gray skin with the look of weathered stone. No clothes. Heads too smooth, faces wrong. The eyes were what did it, black not just in color but in meaning, like they saw without light. One leaned in. Its hand moved toward my face and the flash ended. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing symbols in my mind, like diagrams made of light, rotating, repeating. I tried to draw them, but my hand wouldn't obey. I'd start sketching and end up with scrawls that looked more like fractals than language. My nose began to bleed around midnight, just a small stream. I stared at it, disconnected. And then I remembered the sound. Not during the flash, but before, just before everything vanished in the ute. It was a deep hum, low like a diesel engine from far away, but perfectly constant. Beneath it, a clicking, almost like language but mechanical staccato, not from outside the vehicle, not from within. From above. I went back to the site the next day during daylight. No signs of disturbance, no tire marks, no footprints, but I noticed something else. The radio in the ute no longer worked. It powered on, but all it played was static, even on major stations. I told no one, not even Rory, who would have believed me. For days afterward, I'd catch flashes, impressions, the feeling of not being alone, even in silence, the subtle sense of being observed from inside, a faint buzzing in my molars, like the dentist's drill warming up in the distance. Reflection. This wasn't a dream, it wasn't a trip. It was something outside the rules, not good or bad, just beyond. I wasn't tortured, I wasn't enlightened, I was studied, examined, like a lab rat might be by a bored scientist. My mom tells a story of her and her friend. Let's call her friend Lisa. When my mom and Lisa were teenagers, they were up on the roof of Lisa's house, and they see a bright light in the sky. Next thing they know, the light is gone. Thing is, they think they've been on the roof for like 15 minutes, but something like 3 hours passed. Mom doesn't remember anything about what happened during that time, and Lisa simply refuses to talk about it. She would answer my mom with things like, "I dunno," and just drop it, for a long time. So a couple months later, Mom moves away and loses contact with Lisa for about 10 years. She finally meets up with her again, and immediately notices that something is odd about Lisa. Lisa appeared very distant to her, with a very dreamy demeanor, like she was really happy and at peace for no good reason. After they talk for a bit, Lisa brings up the incident on the roof. Mom says she still doesn't really remember anything about it. But Lisa remembers. She remembers everything. She said that at first, it was all in bits and pieces and she couldn't remember any of it clearly. She was confused and scared and wanted to avoid discussing it. Then, as time passed, she began to remember more of it. She remembers it all clearly, and she remembers the other 3 times she was abducted after that clearly as well. At first, they paralyzed her somehow and did all sorts of invasive experiments on her, but by the most recent time, they stopped probing her and began to talk with her. They didn't speak English or any other human language, but she could understand everything they said, even though she can't speak their language herself. Apparently, they told her all sorts of things, stuff about space, Earth itself, and most shockingly, predicted years beforehand that she would get pregnant in a specific year, and it would also be a stillborn, and that she would never be able to have children again. They also told her that it was not their fault, and they even made an attempt to save her from this fate, but they were unsuccessful. They also told her that they had abducted my mother. Another time, after that first incident, Mom says she has no recollection of any other potential abductions, but she does have recurring nightmares of being abducted, but she's almost sure that they're just that, nightmares. Anyway, Lisa tells Mom that every time she speaks with them, she comes to understand the truth more and more. When Mom inquires what the truth is, Lisa just says that you will know eventually, and she says that once she learned of the truth, then everything became wonderful. Mom has seen her a few more times over the years. We still live in another state from her, and she apparently has a pretty normal life and doesn't obsess over alien stuff like some supposed alien abductees do. She only ever brings it up in passing, not like it's a central part of her daily life. Summary: aliens abduct my mom and her friend. Mom doesn't remember much, but her friend remembers everything. Apparently, they were both abducted again several times after that. Aliens predict the future.
Title: Remembering that I got abducted by a UFO 2 years later. I'm 34, and I've been driving long haul out of New Mexico for a little over 10 years now. I live alone in a small place just outside of Truth or Consequences. Yeah, that's the real name of the town. Most of the time I keep to myself. Sleep when I can, eat like crap, and put more miles on my truck than on my own 2 feet. Not the kind of life that gives you much to talk about, but what happened to me 2 years ago, I've only just started to remember it now. And I can't stop thinking about it. It was late October, and I just dropped a load in Flagstaff. I was dead tired, but I wanted to get home before morning. Took a back route, Highway 60, not the smartest idea at that hour, but I figured I'd make better time with no traffic. It was about 2 a.m. desert quiet. The kind of quiet where even the sound of your own engine feels too loud. Sky was clear, stars burning bright overhead, cold enough outside to see your breath. No wind, just the hum of the road and the occasional creak of the trailer behind me. Somewhere between Pytown and Daddle, I saw lights. Not headlights and not any kind of aircraft I know. They were hovering. Low, pale green with a shimmer to them, almost like they were underwater. At first I thought it might have been a drone or a tower or hell, just my eyes playing tricks on me. But as I got closer, the lights moved. They shot across the sky, then back again, faster than anything I've ever seen. I slowed the truck, pulled over onto the shoulder, turned off the engine, even killed the lights, and I just sat there staring up. My hands were sweating, but the rest of me felt ice cold. That's when the world got quiet. Too quiet, like someone hit the mute button on the whole damn desert. No insects, no wind, no engine ticking, nothing. And I felt this pressure in my head, like when you're underwater too long. My ears popped. My vision blurred for a second. And then everything just stopped. Next thing I remember, I was parked in front of my house. Sunlight pouring through the windshield. My clock read 8:13 a.m. And my phone had no record of calls, messages, nothing. It was like the last 6 hours never happened. I chalked it up to exhaustion. Told myself I must have blacked out and driven the rest of the way home on autopilot. But something never sat right about that. I don't remember any of the drive. I didn't even feel tired. No headache, no stiffness from sitting in the cab all night. Just nothing. For 2 years I kept my mouth shut. I buried it. Didn't even tell my brother, and he believes in all that kind of stuff. But a few weeks ago, I started having these dreams. Same one every night. I'm lying on a table in a bright white room. Can't move. There's a humming sound, mechanical, but not like any machine I know. It makes my teeth ache. There are figures. Not human. Thin, long arms. Skin like damp paper. But their faces, I still can't describe them. They weren't wearing masks, I know that much. But whatever they looked like, my brain refuses to hold the image. I wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding. And the worst part? There's this smell in the air after, like burnt ozone and something sour, like spoiled milk. It fades after a few minutes, but it's real. I've even had someone else over to confirm it. They noticed it too. Then last week, I found something. On the back of my neck. A small, circular scar I swear wasn't there before. Perfectly smooth. Not raised, not irritated. Just a clean, round mark the size of a dime. And now I'm remembering more. Little flashes. The inside of that room. That sound. That pressure in my head. The feeling of being studied. Taken apart piece by piece, and then put back together slightly wrong. It's like the memory was hidden in me, waiting for something to trigger it. And now that it's out, I can't unsee it. I don't know what they did. I don't know why I'm remembering it now. But I haven't slept more than a couple hours since the dream started. I keep the curtains closed. I don't drive at night anymore. And sometimes, late at night, I swear I can feel that pressure again. Like they're still watching. Waiting. Like it's not over yet. If anyone else has gone through something like this, I don't know. Maybe I'm not losing my mind. Maybe I just remembered the wrong thing at the wrong time.